Yeah. So,
Yeah, big fan.
yeah. So I guess then, just practically speaking, like, what's each of your advice to, like, what's the first thing you need to tangibly do if you want to take part in this hobby? You've watched the videos, you've gone to a convention, now you're in the dealer hall, maybe that's it, or maybe you're at a friend's house. Like, what do you do to get that game going as a player? Do you ask somebody to run a game for you? Or as a GM, how do you find your players? Like, some of us have long-term groups. Maybe we don't remember all this stuff, but I'm still gathering new players all the time, so I can talk about that. So why don't we start with Jimmy? He has to gather his flocks in the arid desert of Twitch.
I beg, I cry. So how to get them? Yeah, I mean, it started. I mean, it's just basically I run new games, a new beginner game. Or, that's really what it's boiled down to, is going on to the LFG groups and saying, got a channel, you want to learn how to play, you want to get started, here's what we're doing, come give me I've got an application, and fill it out, and let's get the game going. And Reddit, yes, Reddit and the Fantasy Grounds LFG group, on the Facebook, chatting with some people here on the channel about bringing them into a game for the first time. So it's a process, but you've got, I'm not for lack of players. There's no doubt about that. It's the lack of DMs for me on the channel, what we're doing, getting the quality ones that want to commit to putting on the show and want to be they got to be crazy like us to want to do it once a week.
And it doesn't always work out, right, Jimmy? I mean, sometimes you think you got it all lined up and it just doesn't come.
Get them in the player, especially on the players. It's a commitment, and I'll lose in a game. I'll lose at least 2 or 3 players to start first month and a half, and you have to churn through them and get a replacement. So
I thought you meant like in a game, like
yeah.
Maybe it's the GM.
I want to kill them. Well, with you guys when we play DCC, yeah, I'm killing you. Okay?
You're gonna put us in the funnel. You're gonna put us in the funnel.
I'm gonna enjoy
speaking
that.
Of DCC at Game Hole Con, right? There's a fantastic DCC story.
Oh, yes. The late night one, you mean with Chris Zink?
Yeah. The whatever.
That was a meat grinder. I love that game system. I don't even know how to play it.
We're going to learn.
Yeah. So what about you, Alex? I mean, like, when you're trying to bring people together, let's say I don't know, do you do this? Do you run games for people to intro them to it?
The reason that Game Hole Con actually got started, now this topic reminds me, there was a local game store that opened in my neighborhood called I'm Bored. And it was, I didn't go in there for the first month or two. I thought, what's that?
BOARD or BORD?
Right. Yes. No, it was, yeah, exactly. So I thought it was a board game store. So I didn't go in there for the first month and a half. And I don't have anything against board games. It's not my jam. I have plenty of board games. But I went in and he's got this really nice RPG section. I thought, shit, I'd really like to help support your store. How can I do that? And he's a hell of a nice guy. And he was a big part of Game Hole Con getting started. In fact, they're the title sponsor every year. They're their main sponsor. I'm Bored is, you'll see when you come to the show. They have 2 stores in the area now. So we started running games. I told the guys, hey, you know what? How don't we set up some stuff on a meetup for I'm Bored, and we'll run one-shots for the store, and just to get some people in this great open play area. And we started, and it was really popular. I mean, they'd fill up really fast, and people like the games. Like, oh, well, this is essentially like a mini convention. Let's talk about running conventions. That was another one of the dots I skipped in my 10.
That's cool. That's super cool.
But so there, I fortunately have a tremendous store culture here in Madison. I've got now with I'm Bored, Pegasus, Noble Knight has this massive store they open up here. They closed the one in Janesville, and there are so many learn to play blank nights every night of the week of something, and they're so good about welcoming new players. And what they happen, and they know this is going to happen. They start these groups and they spin off, and they've formed their own home group, and they go and
right
home, and they just keep feeding it. They just keep having these learn to play nights, and so I'm spoiled that way. One thing that I've learned about, I've met thousands of gamers since starting to run Game Hole Con, and I thought everyone had a game group, man. And I
me too.
So few people really do. So few people really do. And the literally the hundreds, if not thousands, of people who've come up to me at Gamehole Con or run me down at some other place, say, "Hey, thanks so much for Gamehole Con because it's the only time I get to play." But, oh my God, that's crazy. That's the only time you can play these games is because you don't have a group to play and you don't know how to get one. So I don't know what the answer is, but here in Madison it's pretty easy. And but I certainly appreciate that that's not necessarily true in every municipality.
Yeah, I love that idea of spinning it off. That's beautiful.
It's interesting because I do conventions in all of the Midwest. And it's so fascinating for me to see the demographic of the new face of D&D. We kind of touched on this when Jen Page was our guest in the last episode. But if you look, even on Facebook, the metric says 40% of the fan base of Dungeons & Dragons is female. That is mind-blowing to 17-year-old or 16-year-old Brian Bird. Okay? Yes, I've played with girls, phrasing and all that.
Phrasing
In our gaming groups, okay, right? But to think that 1 in 4 or 2 in 4 of your seats is going to be a female gamer is outstanding today. To think that it's this accepted, it's this beloved by just everyone. It's amazing. It really is. And how do we get to learn about games when we don't know about them? We go to conventions or we watch YouTube or Twitch or some other medium, It's an amazing time to be in this hobby. It really is.
Oh,
yeah.
I should mention. Can I mention just real quick because this is before I forget. This is the first announcement about this for my show is that I am running a game on Sunday on Twitch on the D&D Beyond live stream for Extra Life, and I'm running it for my daughter and her friends. So there'll be 4 11-year-old girls.
Right?
That's outstanding.
Who are going to be playing this game. And they're part of a group I run for them once a month, and they're such good gamers. And I thought I just kind of offhanded mentioned it to my friends at Beyond. I said, these girls are really good at D&D, and they've never played anything before, but they're just so good at it. They get shared resources. They get the shared the cooperative play. They live in the world. So the setting is, just whatever, Dad. You just move on. Let's get the story. So they're so good, and they're all over it. So we're gonna do this at GameWorld Con. We're gonna run this for 4 11-year-old girls, and I hope that other people out there with girls can watch that and say, what, look at that.
Well, I think that's outstanding, Alex, because I knew there was a reason I liked you right off the bat. I also run a monthly game for my daughter and her friends.
There you go.
And I have to say again, my girls are pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. I mean, I don't want to have to go call you out or anything. I mean, maybe go head to head.
So
pretty slick.
Alex, speaking of settings, do you maybe want to talk about something that you're working on? Maybe a seaworthy setting?
Yes.
Ocean, something.
Well, real quick. I appreciate that, Brian. Yeah, my book Sea King's Malice, which I have spent quite a bit of time writing over the last year and a half, has now left. My pen is officially down. It is now in the hands of the publisher, and it is a full-length D&D 5e module, a book, hardbound, full color, that'll be coming out this fall. The Kickstarter just happened. It was very successful. I was delighted. Thanks to all you guys who supported. I know you guys were part of that, and I really appreciate it. I'm humbled, quite frankly, that it did as well as it did. It's cool. I think it's really cool. I had the freedom to write whatever I wanted to write, which was great. Unlike other freelance jobs, part of the terms were there's going to be some pretty weird stuff in here, and it's a little more, this Wizards wouldn't have been cool with some of the stuff. It's not like, Lamentations or anything like that, but just
right.
a little more horror element to it than is normal in a normal D&D book. And we can start debating the pronunciation of the Sahagan or Sawagan, but there's
no commitment.
they're such wonderful creatures, and I love how single-minded and purposefully evil, not mindlessly evil. They're not demons, and so they have this complex, rich culture. And I actually just finished. Tomorrow I'm going to turn in an ecology book that's a companion book about their society and religion and all that kind of stuff, and I loved writing that. That's part of the Kickstarter. I couldn't believe it back in October when I got the playtest packet for Ghosts of Saltmarsh, I thought they're doing a seafaring adventure, and it's coming out right about when my Kickstarter is going to launch on my seafaring adventure. I couldn't believe it, So mine is just the first third is above the waves in ships. The second third is exploring a weird volcanic island, and the final third is 500 feet below the waves. And how you get down there you'll have to read all about it. But yeah, so thanks, Brian. I appreciate
all
it.
about that.
Figure it out.
That is all the elements that I like in a game. So that sounds wonderful. Yeah. So I wanted to ask. There was something else I wanted to ask, and I kind of lost my place here. Let me just see where I'm at.
Well, so one thing that you guys and Danny, since you have kids that are playing, what is so cool about kids playing D&D is that when they spring a trap, like, what? Why would there be a pit here that's covered with spikes in the bottom? Who would do that? It's so awesome. Like, oh my gosh, you don't know any of the tropes. You don't know
the innocence.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so.
What do you
great.
mean that treasure chest is actually a mimic?
Yeah,
That's
the first time
bullshit.
they experience that, it's just so magical. Like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. So, I encourage everyone out there, if you have a little one and they have friends, just run a game for them. You wouldn't believe what you learn about the game.
Yeah, and I think you can make it easier still, even than 5e is.
Oh yeah,
you have really younger
easy.
kids that are interested. It's very easy to strip away even another layer of rules.
Yeah. So if for anybody that it's interested, No Thank You Evil is what I play with my kids, and I just came back from a 2-week venture out to Vegas, and the first thing my daughter says when I get back is, "Hey, can we play No Thank You Evil? I've got this awesome world that I've been working on. It's very complex," and she's 9 years old, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah. This is the same thing I have with my daughter. She wants to play. She wants to write. So a lot of their gameplay is about their backstories and the interplay between some of them even have like generational backstories for their characters. So they're telling these really deep familial stories, and then every once in a while we fight some monsters or go in a dungeon, but a lot of it's just them sitting around trying to sort out like what their own pecking order is and all that kind of thing. So I totally encourage people to do the same thing. Play with your kids. It's super worth the time.
And Wizards is supporting that effort for people who are not as nerdy as us. The D&D Essentials box set that's going to be out a week from today at Target. It's a Target exclusive. I had a chance. I was at the WotC offices a month ago and looked at it. It's a freaking phenomenal product, because what they'll have are very simple adventures that are literally a double truck. You just open it up and that's the adventure. It's great. And and my daughter, we're waiting for it to come out actually before she submits her Kids Track games for Gamehole Con. She wants to run some things out of those books for other kids at Gamehole Con. So and so it's great. They're finally recognizing that need, that just to have the 1-page or 2-page very simple adventure. Go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but they also provide rules for one-on-one adventures, one master, one player.
Yep, exactly. So so Jimmy will get sorted out too. You can have that one off. The back return to Fazlewood.
I want to bring it to the channel. So
one of his players.
I'm really happy to hear about this. Like the opposite end of Dragon Heist, the Beetle and Grimm's Dragon Heist, where you get everything. But you've got this other version where you're getting this compact, easy to digest form factor. And that's what I was getting at earlier. I think different people want to learn about it different ways. I got to admit, I buy a lot of these books because I like the art. And then I read a few pages out of it, but I never really use it in its full extent. So I think presenting things for people in a more digestible way is pretty cool idea. So, hey, I think we are closing in on the end of our evening. I want to, right off the bat, just say thanks to everybody for a really wide-ranging conversation. I think we got into a little psychology and sociology. We talked a little bit about the things we loved and when we started loving them, and why it really is everybody's job, I think, and I think everybody here takes it very seriously, to be an ambassador to the world for these games. I think the stigma has been lifted, so we don't have to fight that as much. Now we just have to encourage people to come and tell us what they want us to give them, so that we can give them better stuff. So I guess, this has been 90 minutes with Alex Kammer. Thank you so much, Alex, for being so.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Alex.
Alex.
Oh,
Yep.
geez, guys. No.
Mhm.
I didn't know you were going to stick around for the whole show, and I'm super glad that you did. It was
Yeah.
really a treat to meet you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in November.
You bet.
And seeing that glorious game hole.
You bet. You bet. It's all its glory. Exactly.
Yeah, see that glorious game hole. Yep, exactly, Brian. And I'd like to thank my fellow hosts, Casey Rift, Matt, Jimmy Duffy, Brian Berg, and myself, Danny Grimes. We will see you in a couple of weeks. We'll be making an announcement of our next guest. It's sure to be interesting. We're going to range all over the place with topics then too. And I guess that's where we'll cut it. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for watching, folks.